This next question comes from our friend Mr. Walrus, who says, "Hey Ramsey, you put out some great content. Thank you, my friend. I was wondering if and why a cornerman is 100% necessary in MMA. I'm aware of things like treating mild wounds between rounds, but I mean in terms of instructing the fighter. I read that giving the fighter instruction during active rounds can be illegal, but it happens all the time. This is why fighters often lure their opponent away from their cornerman and into their own cornerman's range of voice, is it not? Personally, I'd prefer to fight using my own intuition and choice of moves rather than what some guy in the corner is yelling at me to do." Okay. All right, Mr. Walrus, you have a few simple misunderstandings about the rules of mixed martial arts and the role of a cornerman. First of all, treating mild wounds used to be the domain of the cornerman. You were able to bring a cornerman and a cutman with you, so two guys. That's no longer the case. Now, promotions, professional fighting promotions, under unified rules, have a house cornerman a house cutman who treats everybody. So if the fighters are cut, the cornermen don't do that anymore. The fighter's own cornermen have nothing to do with that anymore. It's the cutman who deals with that. And it's the cutman and the ring doctor who determine whether or not a cut fighter is able to continue. All right, the next thing, you read that giving a fighter instruction during an active round can be illegal. It's not. It's perfectly legal to give instructions and to yell or say whatever you want during the round. That's fine. Some grappling competitions have rules about that, but MMA, no. The coach and the cornermen can talk to their fighters. That's fine. What I wouldn't recommend is addressing the referee directly. But here's a little trick. Here's a sneaky little trick. Right? So if you're a fighter and you're the coach, you're cornering them, and I've used this one before. If you're the coach and your fighter is, let's say he just got the takedown, right? And the guy on the bottom pulls guard, and they're in a really tight clinch where, nothing's really happening, but your fighter worked really hard to get that top position, and the referee says something like, "Let me see some action or I'll stand it back up." And then you've got a matter of seconds before the referee might stand those fighters back up. Again, that's up to his discretion. If he sees action on the ground, he'll let it continue, right? So when I heard that, here's what I said. Because you can't talk, or you shouldn't talk directly to the referee. Because when you start saying things to the referee becomes biased against you. They should be unbiased, but they will become biased against you. And they might even ask you to leave. Man, I remember I was working as a referee at this boxing event, and I made a call that one of the coaches didn't like, and so he started cursing me out. He was like, "Ref, are you blind?" That guy was gone. Yeah, you don't want to say things like that to the referee. But here's how you talk to the referee. Indirectly and positively. Never tell the referee, "Hey, are you blind?" Yeah, man. Especially if it's a guy who actually does have a blind spot in one eye from a skull fracture from his last professional fight where the dude loaded his wraps anyway. Yeah, that's a bit of a sore spot. So, my fighter's on the ground. He worked for that takedown, right? The referee says, "Let me see some action or I'll stand it back up." So I say to my fighter in a loud and clear voice, I say, "You're doing great, all right? The referee can see that you're working to pass his guard. He knows what he's doing. He's a good ref. He knows what he's doing. He can see that you're working to pass the guard." So I'm giving two instructions. I'm basically telling my fighter, start moving and work to pass the guard, and I'm telling the referee, "Hey, you're a professional. You know how to do your job." Clearly, you can see he's working. He's working to pass. And I see a change in the disposition of the referee. He becomes less impatient, and he starts watching more closely. He starts watching the technical actions of breaking the guard open. He gives my fighter time to break open the guard, time to pass, and then move into a dominant position where he can work to win. So, if you're working in an organization where the rules say you cannot talk to the referee, you can do it indirectly as long as you are speaking to your fighter and addressing the referee in a positive way. Now, in an IBJJF Jiu-Jitsu tournament, not MMA, but IBJJF Jiu-Jitsu, you cannot talk to the referee, and the referee will not talk to you. There's a petition going around to change that for blind competitors, because the referee will signal the points with their fingers like this, but they won't speak it. And so blind competitors are at a disadvantage, not being able to see those fingers held up, so they don't know if they've scored. So what happens sometimes is these guys, they'll move to a position where they think I should score an advantage point for this, and they hold it for as long as they think they need to, and then they move on before the referee awards the point because they don't see it. So again, there's a petition going around, and I fully support this, for referees in the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to audibly, verbally announce the score for blind competitors. So if anybody in the Jiu-Jitsu community is able to change that rule, please make it so, my friends. Blind folks have a hard enough time in life without not being able to know what the score is. So, at least give them that. So, the next part of your question is about giving instructions, right? So, you mentioned fighters luring opponents away from their cornerman and to their corner. And yeah, that is a really solid game plan. That's one I use a lot. It's a technique I picked up from watching Jeremy Horn coach his fighters. And Jeremy Horn is one of the great mixed martial arts coaches in the business, and he has been for a long time. I mean, he's just good. He knows what he's doing. He was a solid competitor, and he's a solid coach. And one thing he always gets his fighters to do is bring the fight to his corner so his fighters can hear him, so their opponents can hear him, because that can be very demoralizing when you have a coach who knows how to indirectly speak to the other guy and get in his head. And so that they can't hear their own coach because they're too far away. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing illegal with that. You're allowed to speak to your fighters. Okay? Another coaching story. I was coaching one of my old fighters back in the U.S., this guy named Travis, and man, he was getting the snot beaten out of him. In the first round, he took a punch to the face, and it happened like it happened in slow motion. Blood flew out, boom, across the ring. Looked like a pint of blood just flying out of him, and I was like, oh man, he's getting rocked. Ooh, man, we got to make some changes. But he got taken down, ended up pulling guard out of instinct, and he was this close to a TKO. The referee was about to jump in there and stop it, but they were right in my corner because he managed to pull him down toward my corner, right? And Travis was in no shape to listen to instructions. Like, I could have said anything and it would not have made a lick of difference for Travis at all. So I indirectly addressed his opponent. I said, "Look, on your left side, Travis, his liver is exposed." The liver's on the right side. His liver is exposed. And as soon as I said that, I said this loud and clearly, right in the guy's ears. The guy postured up in a short way, bends over, looks over at his left side, because apparently, yeah, in the heat of the moment, you don't think, is the liver on the left or the right? He just looked like, whoa, which gave Travis the space to get up, roll on top, boom, smash this dude until the referee stopped it, and Travis ended up winning the fight. So yeah, the cornerman, he's not just giving instructions for the fighter. He's not a puppeteer pulling the strings. Not a good one, anyway. A lot of coaches try to do that. They try to be a little puppeteer pulling the strings of a marionette, giving them commands. Now jab, now step back, now hook, now do this, now do whatever, now. And that doesn't work very well in a MMA fight because it's just too much information and not enough time to process it. So instructions from a coach should be simple game plans, especially between rounds. That's where some of the most important, pertinent information comes in. Here's another example with Travis. He had another fight, and he lost the first round pretty badly against a guy that he shouldn't have been losing to. I mean, he was a tough dude, but man, Travis's opponent was getting the better of him, and I could see Travis was kind of intimidated. He was eating some shots, he was backing up, he was backpedaling. And man, Travis was a knockout artist, man. He was an absolute knockout artist. Heavy-handed monster. And between rounds, I gave him a very simple game plan. I told him, look, you are better than this. You are a better striker than him. And right now, he is winning the fight. Why? Because he's chasing you. Turn that around. Chase him down and knock him out. There is no reason you can't and shouldn't. Chase him down and knock him out. So, next round happened. Travis got up, filled with new confidence. What did he do? He chased him down and knocked him out. Now, he had that skill set the whole time. Like, my words didn't give him that ability. He had that ability, and I knew it. And because I knew it and was able to point it out to him, at that moment, he remembered, oh yeah, I am a knockout artist. I am better than this guy. And it was that amazing Rocky-like comeback every coach wants to talk about. That story every coach wants to tell. That movie we all want to see. So, the change in game plans between rounds, super important. Had a fighter, Jess, she's awesome jiu-jitsu competitor, but she decided she wanted to do a amateur boxing match. And in the first round, she was chasing after her opponent and putting herself into, hitting her opponent a few times and then staying there as her opponent would just clip her back, right? And she'd run in, throw a combination, and her opponent would just hit her right back because she's still in the pocket. And during a fight, during the round, it's really hard to change your momentum. You can hear your coach say some stuff, but it's really hard to change your momentum, right? But between rounds, I pulled her aside, and I gave her this simple instruction. Move in, hit her, and then move out. Move into the pocket, hit her, and then move out. So the rest of the fight, that's what she did. So she lost the first round, but the second two rounds were awesome, because she moved in, hit her opponent, moved out, and didn't get hit. So, yeah, man, simple changes of game plan, so important. Something I wish the UFC still did, I really wish they would still do this, is putting the microphone on the cornerman between rounds. I loved listening to Greg Jackson when he would coach his fighters when they used to do this. And maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe the coaches complained and they don't like their trade secrets being exposed, and I don't blame them. But I loved listening to Greg Jackson coach his fighters between rounds because his instructions were super simple and super streamlined and super important. It would just be simple observations. He's doing this, so you need to do this. The end. Not a complicated thing. So yeah, man, as a fighter, you're going out there to fight your fight, not to be a puppet to follow every single little thing that your coach says on the sidelines. Sometimes, however, especially in a grappling exchange where the action is slowed down, sometimes, because it's slowed down so much, a coach can give you a step-by-step game plan to follow. But the only reason he should be doing that is if he sees that you're drawing a blank or you've taken some shots and you're clearly not using your best faculties. But sometimes having that external voice really, really does help. I went into my first few professional fights, kickboxing matches, without a cornerman, without a coach, because I thought, well, what for? I don't need some guy telling me what to do on the sidelines. I'm not going to be some guy's puppet. And I had mixed degrees of success and failure with that. But when I brought in a cornerman, a coach that I actually trained with, who knew my abilities, who knew what I was able to do, and knew how to coach me, oh man, guess what followed? Success and less failure. So developing a proper relationship with a coach who is able to corner you to success is imperative for fighters. Is it the most important thing? Maybe, maybe not. The most important thing is be the best fighter in the cage, right? Have the best technique, be the strongest, be the most aggressive, and, combine those in the best way. But having the best coach certainly doesn't hurt. Next question.